So what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so when I first, got on council, I would say that we need to control our narrative. And people would think initially when I would say that meant only talking about the good stuff. That's not what I mean when I say control our narrative. It takes people like us saying, like what you just said. It's very powerful. I'm downtown. I go down there. It's nice. I feel safe. It takes you saying those things so people can hear. People will start to say, okay, well, if he goes, he's safe. Maybe I should check it out. It takes us having those conversations. But when we control our narrative, we can't rely on the newspapers to tell our story. We have to do that ourselves. We have to showcase and highlight the things that are happening here, the good things. And then when there are challenges, we have to also show that we're tenacious people and we'll roll up our sleeves and figure it out. That's what we do here. That's how we operate.
Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en el día de hoy. Pues hoy tenemos otro episodio de lo que estamos haciendo aquí, conociendo a la gente de la comunidad, a los políticos. Este pues va a ser más Spanglish, pero más English que Spanish, porque ella se siente más cómoda en inglés. Pero nada, transicionando. Here we are with Jessica Gonzalez. If you can, better properly introduce yourself for the audience, please.
For sure. Thanks for having me. And lo siento, pero no hablo español muy bien. Pero me llamo Jessica Gonzalez. I am a native of Killeen. So I'm born and raised here.
Okay.
Yeah, my father did 3 tours in Vietnam. He was a Bronze Star, Purple Heart recipient. My mom was a teacher. She taught for 40 years. She was one of the first African-American teachers at Killeen ISD, Hay Branch or Harker Heights Elementary School. And so my roots run deep here. So yeah, this is home for me. I've got 3 kids.
Okay.
3 grandkids. They're still in school. My son is still in school here, so they're going to KISD. And I'm also currently the councilwoman for City of Killeen, District 1, in my 3rd term on council.
Nice.
Yes. And so I'm termed out. This is my last cycle that I can do, but I was trying to find ways to continue to serve my community. And so now I'm running for Justice of the Peace, District 4, Place 2.
Okay, well, can you explain the difference within all those what's it called, different denominations and whatnot?
Sure. So a city council representative, we're basically the legislators of the city. So we write the laws, we create the ordinances, and we help in that respect, right? And we represent, in some cases, our population is over 163,000 people that we have, but I represent a specific district, which is the north side of Killeen. But as a justice of the peace, they represent the people's court. Okay. So they are the first faces that you would see for minor traffic violations, civil litigations up to $20,000. They handle weddings on the good side, so they're the ones that would marry you. If you wanted to go the justice of the peace, they would be the ones to marry you as well. And they do magistration, so processing people and for.
Okay. And since you said you was in the north side of Killeen, right?
Yes.
What all have you heard, in terms of citizens complaining about how the city handles the north?
So it's very interesting. So can I start at the beginning? Just kind of tell you.
Yeah.
Start. Okay, because I live there, right? So that's my hometown. That's where again, born and raised. Okay. Grew up on Kangaroo Avenue. That's my street. And so I've lived there and I've watched it grow. I've watched it when it was the top of the line area where people were looking to live, and then I watched everybody kind of move out and expand, further south and into Harker Heights. So, but this is my home, right? So you said people complain, and then there's also a lot of good things that go, that happen there. So I've heard a lot over the years. What even got me interested in this in the first place was when I came back home to visit my parents. I come home every weekend, when I was out of the area, and I heard my parents I started having the same conversations my parents were having when I was young. And I was like, why aren't they doing anything? What's going on? Why is this not happening? What's the issue here? And then fast forward, this is just before the grocery store closed, which is the main catalyst for the trajectory of the north side. So everybody's focal point, right? But just before that, there was an issue with homelessness, and the shelter had closed. And I had never seen that many unhoused people, in the neighborhoods and on the streets. And it was pretty shocking when I came home and I saw that. I was like, why is this happening? How is this happening? And my family, you learn very quickly you don't ask questions unless you're ready to roll up your sleeves and get to work, because then it's like, let's figure it out. What are you going to do about it? If you want to know, if you want to, impart something, your skill set. So anyways, the current council member, Miss Shirley Fleming, she was the one before me. She had been working very, very hard in our district and working on trying to find grocery store. And this is, imagine, on 2018, 2019 timeframe. So she was working very diligently trying to get that, and it just couldn't make it work for a number of reasons, right? And she called me and she said, there's some opportunity here. Have you thought about it? Have you thought about running for council? And I said, well, I don't know. No, not really. Congress was on my big board. And so I meditated and prayed about it, and ultimately decided to run. And I said, if it's supposed to be, it will be, because I have a certain skill set that if the citizens need it, then it'll be good. It'll work.
Okay.
So what I did next was I instead of the traditional way where a person says, I'm going to run for office, I'm going to create a platform, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you. I said, no, it's not going to work. We got to do something different. Again, remember, I'm from here, so I've seen them throw everything at the kitchen sink, these problems and stuff. So I said, I'm going to have a bunch of meetings. I had a bunch of town halls and conversations, coffees, and just general talks with people. And I said, well, what did you see? What have you heard? What have we been complaining about for years? Where are our challenges that we need to fix, and how can we fix them? And so quickly I was able to find that the people had a charge for me. And what they gave me specifically in my district was first to work on safety. They wanted to see more police presence. They wanted to breathe life into the downtown. They didn't want it to be just storage units and blighted buildings, and it just looked really old and run down. They wanted to breathe life into downtown. They wanted a better quality of life.
Can I ask you real quick, when you say they,
Yeah.
who's they?
The constituents, the people in the neighborhood, the
Okay,
people I
okay.
was speaking to, all throughout the community. This is what they were saying, that the same question you just asked me, I was asking them.
Okay.
And that's what led me to figure out what we needed to do based on what we talked about in those meetings. And so I'm pleased to say that in my 5 years now, when you hear North Killeen or you hear District 1, part of that charge was to be top of mind, because everybody felt forgotten. They felt that they weren't heard. Well, everybody's talking about North Killeen, so I think I did a pretty good job there. Everybody is talking about the north side, not just bad though, not just because of things that are missing. We're actually talking about the improvements that are being made, right? Economic development, there's new housing that's going in. We've got road projects that are happening, infrastructure that's being built. So I was able to accomplish that. They wanted safety and security. There's a police department, that a substation that came back to the downtown area. So there's police presence now back on that side of town. The downtown engagement unit was formed several years ago. We started off with 3 police officers. Now we have 2 units. I mean, it's a really big deal. We've got a lot of, we've got an industrial park, that's in Roy Reynolds, that area, right? In that industrial park, a lot of people don't know, there's a lot of great businesses there that are expanding. But one of the things I get really excited about is there's a company that has been in business for like 67 years. And they were looking for their first headquarters to come to the United States. They're a subsidiary of Samsung. And they were looking for their first headquarters in the United States. And they chose Killeen. We weren't the only competition. We were in competition for their business. And we won. And they're in our industrial park. So this company's first United States headquarters is right here in our industrial park. And with them has come other opportunities for our economic development, for our growth. People are paying attention to us. We've received several awards for development. So anyways, I say all that to say there's a lot of good things, not just bad. When we hear North Killeen or District 1, there's a lot of good things. And I'm not afraid to address the elephants in the room, which is some of the troubles that we have, right?
Okay.
Not perfect, but we've done a lot in a very short period of time. We should be very proud of.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I want to clarify, because I don't know if I came out too rough. What I meant to say was like complaining, because I'm just based on what you see on Facebook,
Yeah, of
'Cause
course.
when we go out there and talk to real people notice.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you saw
Thank
how
you.
the downtown is looking, the new businesses
Yes.
coming up, and then this and
Yes.
that, the third, the road, the new Starbucks, all that,
Right.
which closed, by the way. But
Yep.
I don't know the intricacy or the details about that. But
Right.
anyways, there's development, and we can see on WS Young, the new apartment complex, and then the gas station right in front of it. Like that's a whole new area. It looks
Yes.
beautiful, and I'm pretty sure there's probably more on the way. But
Yes.
that's my point. That people notice those things, and when you meet them in real life, they talk about those. But when you go on Facebook, they just
That's right. That's right.
obviously highlighting the bad stuff.
Right. And so unfortunate. I don't understand that psychology of why we do that. But and sometimes there are real questions that need to be asked, right? And sometimes they're very valid concerns. But for those folks that are only behind the keyboard, to your point, I always encourage them, please
Keyboard.
come out.
Keyboard warriors.
The keyboard warriors, right? I do say, please come out and look, come and see. Because when you do, not only that negative will ultimately go away because when you come down, especially in the downtown area, for example,
Mhm.
we had to really get the trust of our citizenry. There's already people that were down there, right? And the businesses that were holding on for dear life, and some of them were ready to go, honestly.
Right.
But when we had what's called ARPA funds, the government had a grant after COVID that they provided to us. And so I knew that we needed to be able to show that we had skin in the game. The city had to show a different face because they were used to people either just dismissing or just throwing money at a project and not following through. There was no consistency. And then there was no real connection and care at certain levels. So it was really important that we did something different.
Mhm.
So when I say all that, downtown, we had to build trust because we had to get people to understand that the city's involved. We've got skin in the game. So we created a grant project for business owners to stimulate business so that they could have an opportunity to apply for the funding to start their dream business, to open their business. We started working with those property owners to help them with facade grants to fix the front of their businesses, to at least start to work on the impression. We started with the low-hanging fruit of painting and planting plants to just beautify the area, clean it
Exactly.
up some,
Mhm.
But once we met with those owners and then they reinvigorated their merchants association for the businesses, it was exciting to hear them say, okay, we're going to give it one last shot because they didn't want to give up on their dreams
Mhm.
either. When you go down there now, if you come from behind the keyboard and you go down there now and you look at the buildings, but it's more than just the buildings, it's the people. They're friends, they've connected, they've started their dream businesses. One lady has a beautiful restaurant that she's also expanded onto 2 sites. We've got new businesses coming. We've got training facilities down there. We've got creative arts down there. We've got people that are into physical health and helping you with your mental health and wellness and Pilates and all kinds of wonderful things in our downtown. What's even cooler is during the day, sometimes you'll notice that if you go random times, there's parking problem. You can't find a parking place, which is cool.
Yeah, that's
And
good news.
Yeah.
you'll see people window shopping. We've never seen that. I almost cried when I saw people like looking in the windows and at the art gallery down there. And so they were looking in the window at the art in the windows and they were just exploring the area. I mean, it's intriguing. So we as a city had to show that we were vested in our people, but I'm so proud of our people who said, okay, we're going to trust and we're going to believe, but then we're going to work together and we're not going to give up because it was hard. It's still hard. Not going to lie. It's not easy, but they're working together and they're doing it. It's a beautiful thing that's happening right there. I'm very proud of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to add to that that I think it's not the city problem, but we have a strong marketing problem
Mhm.
down there. Because the businesses they don't get as much traffic as they should,
That's right.
and it's because people don't know about these places. For example, when was it? Tuesday. Tuesday they did a like a network meeting event for creative people,
Mhm.
and we went there, and it was really nice. Really cool people came out. We hang out. We met some people, but it should have been more people there because I know there's more creative people here,
Mhm.
right? But it's like just I don't know. People don't hear about these things. I don't know. I guess my question to you is, what can the city do one way or another to help that's marketing situation?
So my hope,
Hmm.
this is my hope, is as you talked about all the people that are online, those that are the negative Nancy's, is the hope that we can get the people that are actually doing business or holding these events that if each one reach one. So basically, all of those people that are positive that have the businesses down there, if we share it with the businesses first, the businesses can then in turn share on their social media and encourage all of their people to follow and share and like and share. That has to become a culture of positivity, just
Yeah.
like there's a natural one for negative. It's very easy to go dark,
Hmm.
very easy to say what is and what isn't. It's the positive that we have to reinforce. So where the city can come into your question is we have the convention center, for example. There's opportunity for us to post on our websites there. There's a community calendar that they've created so that you can add to it. I don't know how many people know of that. Again, the Merchants Association is a huge value add, so you can advertise with them. They've got another reach that they can push out to. So there's a lot of opportunities there. But I also think it takes us taking ownership of that and saying that we have an event and I'm sending it to all my business owners, that merchants association, let's each send each of our events out, because the more people we have and the more we can support each other, the better that we'll do. Because there's plenty of business for all of us. But we have to work together in that respect.
So it sounds like it's a communication issue. You think,
Absolutely.
is that right?
Yeah, I would say safely. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Because
no, go
no, no,
ahead.
no, no. Communicate. I mean, that's ultimately what it is, right? And then avenues like you guys have here, letting people know what's going on in the community. Maybe I don't know. Do people submit to you events that are happening weekly or monthly or whatever? If not, that could be a great addition to your podcast.
Mhm.
Just to showcase that if you don't already have that. But I remove. The excuse, because if we want to know, we can find out. But the community effort, I think, is really what it's going to take us to do, to push, to work together to get that information out.
Okay, yeah, because that's basically I mean, not the whole intention behind this podcast, but it's a big part of it,
Yeah,
because if we can get the community together, there's so much more that we can do
that's right.
as a community.
And we're stronger together. I mean, it's not a joke. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
cliche. We're
Yeah.
stronger together, right? I mean, like literally. And it's wonderful. The thing is that when you go to one event, it's like I might be good at something, or I'm there for one reason, but then I talk to somebody and it's like, okay, you're talking to me now as the city council person or a person running for office, but I make movies. I have another life. I did theater. I do film. I love poetry. I'm a writer. So there's a lot more. So when you do these events and you go and you meet new people and you attend these community functions, you'd be surprised at the amazing talent that we have here,
Hmm.
the amazing gifted people that we have here, everything that we need to make our community a thriving community, everything that we need that you hear people asking for online, we've got it right here. We've got it right here. So I think the city's responsibility is to help continue to provide resources and to continue to provide those opportunities, and then to continue to let people know how we can help them, but to give people an avenue to feel comfortable to start somewhere. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then another thing, we have over 106, what is it? 160,000 citizens, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we only got 90,000 registered voters around
Around that, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And according to Segarra, when we spoke to him, he said in the last election only 1,600 people vote.
Mhm.
Basically, that's 1%.
Yeah. So we're up 25%. I think that this is the last cycle that we had, depending on which race you're looking at. I think they said it was the mayoral race.
Mhm.
We're going to be up. I think we're up right now about 25%. We'll see what happens we don't know if it's just early voting or, but the actual election day is May 2nd. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the voter turnout, apathy is lethal. Apathy is lethal. There is power in our voices, and when I hear people say they want things, you want this. Well, you have to use your voice to get it.
Mhm.
And as a community, we have to use our voice, and even if you're just one person, trust and believe. If you feel that way or you have a question, there's going to be other people that are thinking the same thing or have the same question. It's just a matter of connecting with them, and you'd be surprised once you open your mouth how many other people open those floodgates and start
Yeah.
tapping in, right?
Because I think that's one of the main issues. People don't get involved, and we need more involvement from the people, because just by looking at those numbers,
Yeah.
we know that there's not enough involvement. But they do get involved in Facebook, too.
I know.
How many we said they have on that website? I mean, a Facebook page.
Yeah,
like
you-
100,000.
I think it's
100,000?
we
There's a
could
lot, right?
we could
Yeah,
look it
there's a
up.
lot of people on those Facebook group
those
and
groups,
page
yeah, there's a lot.
complaining, but
Yeah.
then you look at the how you call that the
I'll look it up
One
real
of the
quick.
things when I started, I was like, we're not, don't talk about it, be about it. Like, I have no energy for that. Now, we can sit down like we're doing now, we can talk about problems and challenges,
Mhm.
but we have to shift at some point to say, how do we resolve it?
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? I'm not going to sit down and complain with you, and I won't let anybody do that in my space, because it's counterproductive.
Right.
Yep.
That's like me sitting on the couch. I know I need to lose weight, but I'm not complaining because I'm not working out, right? I'm not doing it. So you will not hear me complain. I'm not, but so I'm just saying, but so that's where we really need to get out. I will not entertain that. But people ask valid questions. Absolutely, all day long. You feel that we have a problem and solution. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. I'll hear it. We might not see eye to eye on every answer or every subject or every response or every solution even, but Yeah, to sit down and just sit and complain? No, but to vote, to get out and voice our concerns and to work together to find a common resolution has to happen. And right now, with everything going on in society, if we don't start, I mean, we hear it all the time, but we're getting to a critical level right now at this point, and it's very serious. You know, I'm trying not to bring the mood down, but it's very serious. And my hope is that I can at least help people understand that everything that we do, when I hear people say like the city, the city, the city is not, the city is one entity of many,
Mm.
meaning we can't do, there's a lot of things that we need federal help with, state help with, and then we need our community help, right? With our nonprofits and our unhoused and things like that. But we have to even work within these the tools that are given to us. But we have to work together. And there's some things and challenges and things that are going on right now that could definitely negatively impact us as a community if we don't figure it out. But we're very rich in population, talent, skill sets. Um, there's a lot of benefit here that we could insulate ourselves from the things that are happening that might trickle down that could hurt us.
Okay.
And that's my hope, is that people wake up and they do start to vote and they do connect and they do come out and start asking questions.
Do you mind expanding on what is that the dangers that you said if we don't figure it out by a certain time?
Yes. So locally, for example, let's talk about, okay, so locally, okay, so when you were looking at our state legislature, so the state does different things. They make different rules and laws for us, right? And so when they give
Mhm.
us these mandates, these demands or commands, they say that you have to do this.
Mm.
We have to follow them. We have to amend our ordinances and then move forward with it, right? When this, when people then in turn get upset about certain things, we tell them our hands are tied because the state said we had to do it. So what's happening right now, for example, it's a hot topic, but it's like all of them are hot.
If
All of them are hot, but what'd you say?
I was gonna say like I'm the reason we're laughing is because if you will just look at our episodes in Spanish, you're like, oh, okay, this guy do this all day.
Yeah.
Whereas it's a safe zone for this.
Yeah, but so yeah, okay, so for example, looking at our disabled veterans tax exemption.
Mm.
Okay, that's a pretty hot topic. And right now, when we hear people speak, the first thing people say is that you say that you don't love veterans. And I'm going to tell you 1,000% that is not the case. Not true. For me personally, I take my veterans very seriously. I respect and love all of our service members. I specifically have a certain spot, though, for our Vietnam era veterans because that's where my dad served. And I advocated with the Texas Veterans Association for our service members for their benefits and things like that, right?
Mhm.
For a period, for those Vietnam era vets. They went through a lot for us. So I'm very much appreciative of our veterans. So there was a plan that was put in place to to give the tax exemption, right? 100%, which is wonderful. They need that and then some, as far as I'm concerned. So that's not the issue. The problem is that the conversation was not had about the pros and the cons of what this means, right? What is the implication? Let me stop right there and speak English to that a city gets its funding from property taxes, sales tax. If you don't have a major company or corporations like Dell and things like that that are generating sales tax for your community, you have to rely on property tax. That's our income. That's how we make our money. If we don't have those, then we're very limited into what we can do. So what they didn't anticipate was the impact, the real impact it was going to have if you take away how many veterans that qualify for this 100% disabled tax exemption, they're paying zero. What does that mean for a city like ours when our population is predominantly what? Veterans. Nothing against veterans, but that means our tax base then it gets cut
Mhm.
significantly. The state of Texas had a projection for what they were expecting to lose. And that I think it's been since 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on the dates, but they had a projection of what they were expecting to lose. The city of Killeen lost that $95 million, I believe it is. We lost that. We exceeded the state's expectation of loss. Did you hear me? The city of Killeen lost the expectation of loss for the
The
state
whole
of
state.
Texas
That's a big
since
number.
2017.
That's a big number.
That's a big number. So when you hear us talking about it, we're not talking about veterans. That's not the issue. The issue is that there was a mandate from the state that said that you guys will have to do this, but there was no conversation about how do we protect our people.
Mhm.
So as far as I'm concerned, the way it looks to me is a sleight of hand. We give you a silver platter and you like it, but then behind you, I'm coming and I'm, chopping off at the knees or whatever,
Mhm.
because ultimately you will be hurt by this. So I can't really be excited about it anymore when I know the gravity of what this means. So if we don't find a way to increase our sales tax base, to increase our revenue, so that the city has money to continue to operate, then you start having to think long term, best case, worst case scenario. Worst case scenarios, we have to start cutting services. You have to start cutting back on resources. You have to start, your senior centers have to go, your staffing has to go, and there's a lot of things that have to take place that you start to lose.
Mhm.
This is your community. That's going to ultimately hurt you in the end. So we have to be very careful as council people to be mindful of that and understand we can't just make a rash decision and say just one thing on the surface. Everything we do, every decision we make, we have to look at the big picture, the pros and the cons, and the future projection, pros and cons as well, because you never know how one decision, as good as it was,
Mhm.
can have a negative impact and hurt the people that you're trying to help. So that's one thing that, we need people to get excited about. We need them to voice their opinion. No one is going to take that away. That's not even on the table.
Mhm.
But we do need our citizens to kind of pay attention to this because already this coming year, we're going to be losing, I think, another $200,000 because they keep adding cities into the fold of who's getting these exemptions. And so we're going to be losing another $200,000. So the state reimburses you back so much, money, but we're getting less than $800,000 on several millions of dollars of expense. So things like that. This is our voice. We have to pay attention to these things. Now, I know for most people it gets overwhelming because there's so much, right?
Mhm.
But what do you tell people? Like, I don't know what you guys talk about. What do you, when you're talking to people or you're listening to the keyboard warriors, like, how do you, how, I don't, I know I can see how easy it is to get overwhelmed because
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
so much.
Yes.
So what I tell people and what I encourage people to think about is to just focus on the things that are important to you and to your family. And if you take those one or two things and then give all your attention and time, your extra attention time to those things, then we can start to collectively make a difference, right? Meaning I'm one person, I'm not going to know everything. I'm not an expert in everything. But if I have my skill set and my strength and I know about these certain subjects, but then I partner with you and then business, TV, film, we come together, then we can start to work on the collective picture. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Totally.
it's really important. This is one of many examples, but we need to lobby our state as a city. If they talk about taking away our freedom of speech, through our ability to lobby our legislators, that's our freedom of speech as a city. We can't let them take that away. We almost lost it. A lot of people don't know that,
I didn't know that.
we didn't know that, but we have people, that really care about freedom of speech. Well, as a city, as a whole, we need to figure out how to better connect with our legislators so that we can get what we need here as a city because they have access to the funds and the things that we need here. And we can collectively do that, but we have to figure out how to organize,
Mhm.
on our level. But I think we're a little different because we are a military community built with retirees and just other people that were in the service industries that I think we can mobilize a lot quicker than a lot of other people once we get the big picture. Just how do we get the big picture?
Mm.
You know, how do we get people to know the importance of what it is that we need to do for us as a community? And I had a great conversation with somebody at one of the somewhere I was at, but we were talking and I said it's not a party thing. Like I don't care when I talk to people. I really don't care if you're, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. Doesn't matter because at the end of the day, for me as a council person, potholes don't have parties, so
Right.
it
Right.
doesn't matter.
They affect all of us.
It affects all of us, right? And so my focus as a individual person is always that is if we focus on our people, we focus on our community, we focus on our city, our county, and then our state, we'll always be in a good position. So if we can put our differences to the side, even for a moment, we don't have to hang out. We don't have to be best friends and have dinner dates and things like that. But if education is important to you, man, let's roll up our sleeves and fight for education,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? If voting rights are important to your children are important to you, then let's roll up our sleeves and fight for children. That's the kind of mentality that I hope that our community can like really get into and we can really connect on. Because there's a lot of people that believe like that. And I'm finding that. I'm very excited about that. But that's my hope for us because we're going to need it.
Mm-hmm.
We're
And,
going to need it.
and us over here doing it at the not at the macro, but here in town, starting here before we move on to the states and all those things that you were mentioning. As you was talking about that, I was thinking uh, something that he brought up yesterday. We sat down with Ramon
Alvarez?
Alvarez, yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
with him.
Alvarez,
Yeah. Yeah.
We sat down with him yesterday, and he brought up a great point. Is that people here need to change their mindset about the city,
That's it. Yeah.
and because even outsiders, for example, before he got here, he knew he was coming here, and he already knew a lot of bad things that he heard from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna elaborate more on that because I want to say,
Yeah.
I'm in the military. I'm active duty, right?
Okay.
So
thank you for your service.
I'm coming from Chicago, and when I say, oh, I'm going for Hood, they're like, what? You going to Killeen? You're crazy.
Mm.
That's the worst place you can choose. Like, why? Oh, there's so many things happening down there. Like, what are you talking about? No, it's just bad. That's how it is. It's
Yeah.
bad. That's all they say. They don't have no grabs. They don't have anything. They just, it is bad because that's the fame that
That's
this
right.
place had.
Mhm.
But I've been here for 2 years, and I prove not them because I haven't talked to them, but I proven wrong pretty much because I've been hanging out in downtown Killeen. I feel safe.
Yes. Right.
I've
right.
been to worse places for
Yeah.
for a lot, for much. But yeah, is that just the fame that Killeen has? They got to change that.
Yeah.
It
So
needs
what?
to be changed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so when I first, got on council, I would say that we need to control our narrative. And people would think initially when I would say that meant only talking about the good stuff. That's not what I mean when I say control our narrative. It takes people like us saying, like what you just said. It's very powerful. I'm downtown. I go down there. It's nice. I feel safe. It takes you saying those things so people can hear. People will start to say, okay, well, if he goes, he's safe. Maybe I should check it out. It takes us having those conversations. But when we control our narrative, we can't rely on the newspapers to tell our story. We have to do that ourselves. We have to showcase and highlight the things that are happening here, the good things. And then when there are challenges, we have to also show that we're tenacious people and we'll roll up our sleeves and figure it out. That's what we do here. That's how we operate. But yeah, it's really that part is very frustrating because no place is without challenge, right? And if you feel that you hate it here so much and you don't like it, I'm going to say either please roll up your sleeves and come help us grow or go. Like, or
Exactly.
go. Like, I don't know. Like, why stay and complain? Because there's something for everyone here. I'm telling you, we've got a little utopia here if we could just get it together. There's a lot of beautiful things about this city. So, having traveled outside of the area and then come home, um, you know, our diversity is truly our strength. Um, and, we've got so much potential, so much potential. And when I go everywhere, and it takes people saying, I've told people to fix their face, like, and say, where are you from, Killeen? They're like, "Oh," like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, why are you making that face? Do you know my town? Do you know my people? Do you know what we're doing here? And then we have to continue to reinforce that. That's the only way.
And
Yeah.
and I would say like to include myself to this conversation.
Mhm.
I came here because of the military, and then I left and I got out of the military in North Carolina.
Okay.
And I purposely I chose to come back here, because I left some family here, but I want to be here, because I'm in the middle of the nation. I can get to Florida in 2 hours.
That's
I
right.
get in a
Right.
plane. It's only like $70.
Yeah.
I know
Come on.
it's Frontier and Spirit Airlines, but they get me there.
That's the most important part, right?
Well, my point being, like, I'm in the middle. I can get anywhere fast. I get to California in 3-4 hours. I get to Vegas, same thing, 2 hours. If we got to go to Puerto Rico, it's easy. It's geographically it's convenient, and it's also it's cheaper than anywhere else. We're close to Austin and a couple of surrounding cities. Like major cities like Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. They're not that far either.
That's right.
So to me, it makes sense to move out here. I could have stayed in North Carolina, but I chose to come back here.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up as well. I always say that we're the heart of Central Texas because you look at it where we're located on the map,
Mhm.
and literally we're right where the heart would be. So, I mean, it's still cheesy, but I actually it's not cheesy. Why are you laughing? It's not really. But we are truly the heart of Texas, though, and we have everything that represents it. And so, yeah, everything that you said is 1,000% correct. And those are the good things we need to feature and highlight. I mean, it is what it is. We're right there in the middle. We're close proximity to everything,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly located
Yes.
and affordable,
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
with options to grow and businesses to start. Right? Like there's so much opportunity.
Yeah,
Opportunity abounds everywhere. Right? For people that can see it, that are willing to explore it and expand on it. There's opportunity here, and that's the biggest thing I think that a lot of people also need to know is when they're looking maybe to start over or they want to again start those businesses, and create. There's a lot of need that we have here. So imagine if people knew what they could do and connect with the right people, how they could start their businesses and get going and have a built-in customer base. I mean, it's unheard of some of the things that we could really do. We start putting our mind to it.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, the whole growth and for people that want to do businesses or just start over, can you share with us what are some of the talks that are about like employment and stuff like that in this area, like bringing here?
Right. So this is a very interesting. It's a very broad subject, right? So
Okay.
this is okay. I'm gonna. Um, we know that we need to improve our workforce.
Mm-hmm.
But we also, by the same right, have the most trained workforce in the entire nation with our military population that's coming out, but also leaving our area because we don't have the things that we need for them to stay and hone those skills and to generate those crafts. Again, I told you guys I'm from here, right? So this is the first time I would say safely in the last 5 years we've been having great conversations, but this is the first time in my history of being a Killeenite where I can safely say that a majority of these important decision makers across the county are on the same page as far as creating opportunities, finding ways to keep our people here. We're having these conversations. Business owners are having these conversations. Um, these talks are happening in a unified way, and it's very exciting because you have to have everybody on the same page. Not an East Side, West Side, Temple versus Killeen. None of that matters because we're one region, right? At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
Temple services of my veterans at the VA hospital. They service the people here, so we work together. We have to. So there's a lot of people that share that. That's the first step. But secondly, the most important thing is I was on the Economic Development Corporation. I'm still on that one right now. It's a very important committee as far as having conversations about businesses and what businesses can come and identifying opportunities to bring them here. One of the things is we have to champion our city and sell it. So we have to have cheerleaders, so to speak, to sell our city. But when corporations are in operation, do you know what their number one expense is? Corporations' number one expense is healthcare. So when we look at our city and I look around, what do we have here? We have a lot of service members, veterans. Their healthcare is typically covered because you guys have provisions through the government. So if this is me thinking out loud, right? And then talking to groups of people and they're like, oh my God, we can do this. Yes, we agree. Because if I'm a corporation, healthcare is my number one expense. Now you're telling me that there's a region in the great state of Texas that's open for business that has a region that has an abundance of people with certifications, specialized training, certain skills that are already developed, and I don't have to provide healthcare. Talk about cost savings. So from a corporate perspective, things are starting to look good. So now I'm like, let me see what's going on in Killeen. What's happening there? And then I'm looking at land. Now I'm looking at facility spaces. I'm looking at what you guys have here. Well, we're landlocked. And unfortunately, we're in a position where we don't have a lot of new land to grow. We have some still down 195, going towards Austin. We still have that. But internally, we're kind of limited. But we had some great people in our city that said, we can help. We've got land. We'll help you expand your industrial park. We've got land down here. We'll sell it. We'll help you expand your research park for Texas A&M. Now go find the business. These people, these are also Killeenites, people that live here, that like you, that chose to stay here. Their families built here. And they are also helping us grow here in that way. So now we have companies looking at us because now we had to identify where are they going to go, first of all, if we get them. Manufacturing has logistics, right? So we're not off a major highway. We have 14 is now designated interstate, right? It was not before. And so now we're on the map. So that was a huge thing for us. But logistically, where did they go? Trucks, transportation. We have 195 corridor. Now we have 14 that connects us right to 35 and the opposite direction. So there's a lot of things that we had to do on the infrastructure side first to even make us appeal to these companies and to these corporations to even be able to consider us, for certain things. So now the fact that we've got all these champions across the city and across the county in our region that are saying that same thing about the fact that we've got a ready, willing, and able workforce. You just got to come here, find your spot, and plug in, and let's go. We've got the people here. Then we can work with the workforce. We can work with Fort Hood and the leadership on Fort Hood to start those transition programs and get the guys trained while they're maybe transitioning out of the military. There's several programs that already exist like this, but we're talking about it on steroids, right? Like there's a way to do this, but for real, you know what I mean? And so we're having these conversations, and there are businesses, like I said, that one Dongjen that's here, their first one in the United States. That's a big deal because it raises a flag to their businesses. And then whoever else Samsung does business with, whoever else Dongjen does business with, or MGC Chemicals, whoever these other companies are that they are doing business with are now looking at Killeen differently because we have land, we've expanded our parks, we're motivated to figure out how to get these businesses here, to attract them, to bring them on board. So it's a hard process, but we found a creative way to actually make it happen. Conversations are happening. They are coming. They are looking at us. They are here. They're visiting. We're the talk of the town. We're having our governor has recognized us on many occasions. Recently, did you know we have a music designation, music friendly city, Killeen?
What?
Yeah, you're welcome. I did that because thank you, council. Thank you. But that was part of my push. Part of it, was part of it for the downtown. We needed to get some other things, some designations for the state. We're working on international food designation. So little things like this, people say, why? Why are you doing these designations? Well, because they also put you in a realm of a different lens. So people that are looking for new opportunities to expand and grow these manufacturing companies, businesses, if you are part of those groups, then now you're on their radar, right? So now we're music friendly. We are working on international food designation. We're part of Main Street, which is a huge accomplishment for our downtown area. Main Street designation it's huge. Not only is it state recognized, but it's nationally recognized. And so they offer training. So our businesses will be able to take advantage of specialized training and opportunities and grants, and all kinds of doors will be opened as a result of that if they take advantage of it. But we had to get on the radar. So we've gotten on the radar. We've done that. And I'm so proud of our council. I'm so proud of the work that we've put in to get us on the radar. When we travel, people always say, people are talking about, the city council is taking vacation. It's not a vacation, not for us. It was never a vacation, because you have to network and you have to be where the people are.
Exactly.
You have to be where the decision makers are. And then we have to show them that we're serious. We're not, we have what you need, and that you need to look at us and take us seriously. I mean, did you know that our county is the 15th largest county in Texas? There's 255 counties in Texas. We're 15.
Oh, yeah.
The city of Killeen is the 19th largest city in Texas. You know how big Texas is?
Mm-hmm. It is.
And we're in the top 20 any way you slice it. So pop your collars, like raise your head, like be proud. So, we should be proud of this. We have our military. Most of our service members who serve our country proudly choose, you said it, not me, and you're the service member, choose to come back here.
Mm-hmm.
We should be proud of that. We should own that. We should, you know what I mean? Yeah. I do. When I go, that's what I say. And I get so excited about it. I mean, it's very important to me, but I believe it. You chose to come back here. Mm-hmm. Our service members choose to come back here to the heart of Texas. So we should be proud of that. So when we're taking those trips, that's what we're doing. We're networking, we're having conversations, we're asking these people, please come back and look at our town, consider us. You guys have these great products. Have you thought about manufacturing here? We've got these great colleges and this university right here in our backyard, a research development park that's in process of being, built, that you could utilize and figure out a way to tap into that and help us create the training needed for our people here, and they are listening. But again, and as Alvarez said as well, we have to work on our mindset. We have to work on, let's understand we're not so naive, trust and believe to say that we don't have problems or we don't have things we have to work on. We work on them, we address them. But in the other side of that, we also have to own the good things that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be proud of that. Hold your head up, people.
Mm-hmm.
Be proud.
I wanted to add to, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh,
When,
yes.
when you're saying the traveling, they say you was taking a vacation.
Oh, gosh.
That's just pure ignorance of not
Oh,
knowing
man.
not. I don't want to say the business. It's not a business, but I was going to say the business because we have to do it. You know, for us to in order to grow the podcast more, right? We got to travel. We got to go to Puerto Rico. We got to go to Florida and meet with other people and
Yes.
collaborate and do other podcasts so we can tap into their audience. And we have to do those things. And
Right.
you guys got to not exactly the same, but got to do something similar. You got to
That's
connect
right.
with the other people
Yeah.
in order for this to grow because you got to bring business from outside.
Yeah, that's right. And training and
Mhm.
education. So you have to remember, most of us don't come from political backgrounds. Like you guys watch, or people watch sports. That's how I am with my politics. So for me, I have my own situation room where I'm watching political things all the time. Not everybody's like that. And so you have to understand when people come on to council, there's a learning curve. There's a lot of things you have to learn and quickly. So what we found out was that we have to go get educated. We have to take advantage of these courses to get us trained so that we know how to better serve our community. And then we need to know what tools are out there so that we can help us and bring them back. And then when we go to these certain, like the National League of Cities, for example, one of our council members, we had not been attending that, but one of our council members recommended it. That is one of my favorites because we get to meet with people from all over the United States. And guess what? They break you down by city size and things like that. And so you get to have conversations like this in a small space, and we can talk about real issues. And like, this is the problem we're having. And we're like, oh, you know what we did for that? And they say, oh, this is how we solved our problem. And guess what I can say is, oh, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let me take note of that. Let me send this to my staff, and let's see if we can get this on the agenda to have a conversation. So we find solutions in real time at those events as well. You know, they're very beneficial, very beneficial. And that's how we've been able to expedite a lot of the things that we're doing now in such a short period of time. People told us we couldn't do it. They said that, especially downtown, they told me, don't do it. You can't do it. It cannot be done. 3 years. That's my number. 3 years. I tell you, we did it in 3 years. We got that thing off the ground. We got it moving. Not perfect, but we got it moving in a good trajectory in 3 years. We're 5 now, but with 3 years, we were able to get it up and moving. So they said
Nice.
it couldn't be done. And you see what we've already started to accomplish. So imagine when we all start getting it together and people start really believing, you know, standing up a little more upright and start believing what we really have here. We'll stop cutting our nose to spite our face.
Exactly.
Because we're a powerful town, and we could be very powerful players in this whole entire state of Texas, as far as I'm concerned.
Then you know we have the biggest. I think, but I don't know if the biggest, but if one of the biggest military bases.
Yeah,
You know, that's a plus we have as a town.
that's right.
Moving on to this is the hot topic of the night.
Uh-oh. Where's the fan?
Because you know it has a lot of controversy, a lot of misinformation, confusion. People are worried about this, and this. I just want to know your position in regards of data centers.
Ah, very good. Okay, well, thank you for bringing that up and addressing the elephant in the room. I told you, we're not scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared to do that. First of all, always with me, people would say, "You don't talk a lot," or "You once you get me on my soapbox, I'm good." But I prefer to listen first and educate myself as best I can, and then I formulate my thoughts, and then I ask my questions. We have to be in that position right now. There's a lot going on as it relates to data centers they've already been here. Let's be clear, for a while. We have a tech boom that's happening right now, and that's why we're seeing this rapid influx of them. There are some people that are doing it well, and there are some people that are not doing it so well. Did you know that there were, like, I think 4 or 5, maybe 6 tiers of data centers? There's several types of data centers. Most of us don't know that. We just hear the scary part of them, and then we shut down and say, no, absolutely not. So there are so many different types of them. You have to take a moment and just say, okay, let me figure out the why first, and then what is their purpose? What are they here for? What's their intended use? Everything that you guys have in technology and the cloud and every phone that we use, even down to the stoplights, connects somehow into this internet, and this data has to be stored somewhere. So basically, there's a big servers, right? They store this information in some cases, and then but there's different kinds. Not all of them store information. Some of them store electricity. Some of them store different things. Some of them use water, some of them don't. Some of them are concealed units, some of them are not. So you have to be able to understand that there's different types, first of all. So where am I at on it? To answer your question, because I hate when politicians do that, I'm neutral right now. I'm in the middle because I'm still learning. I'm still learning because I know that there are some that are already in place in other cities across Texas that I'm in communication with, different cities, and they're fine. They've been there for years and they're not having any issues, 5 years in some cases, and they're not having any problems. But then I hear stories about Tennessee and sounds and hums and all this other nonsense, and I want to know, how do we prevent that here? So I have to figure out that part. And so that's what we're doing right now, is actively educating ourselves. So we watched what happened in Temple, we watched what happened in certain areas. Some decisions were made, and I think that my goal for Killeen is, regardless of which way it goes, because they're coming either way it goes. Either we're going to be able to control it as a city and have conversations like this and say, okay, yes, we want this one, or no, we don't, or the government's going to mandate it. Let's just be clear. Okay, they're going to mandate it. And if they mandate it, then we have no control. They're going to be saying, change your ordinance, and then you got to deal with it. And you won't have any benefits. So it does behoove us to at least educate ourselves as to what they are. My concern is the pollution, noise, sound, the air pollution for sure, and ensuring that there's not a big toxic dump in our area that creates problems for us in the long run. So safety first. So I'm still learning on them. And I encourage the community, because there's a lot of groups right now that are formed that are actively talking about them. And some of them are being very thoughtful, and they are actually looking at it. Because you can't just say no data centers, it's not going to happen. And I say that for a number of reasons. Not because I'm for or against them, but because, like I said, it's a tech boom that's happening right now. We have to realize that. You also have to understand the governor, our governor has opened up the state of Texas. He's offered incentives to tech companies and data centers. So he's put us on the radar for these types of industries. There's a huge need nationwide for these. Texas is huge. We have a need for them. It could become a national security issue in some cases if we don't have some sort of way to secure our data and to protect this information. So we have to look at it from all of those perspectives. And it's a very broad perspective. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm neutral on them because I'm still learning about them, but I'm actively learning. I'm working on a symposium for the public with some of these groups that are talking about it. So once I feel like I either have the information that I can comfortably share from a serious position of this is what it is, or find an expert to come and teach our people, then I'll conduct that symposium and have that. I'm also planning to go see some of these data centers myself because I'd like to know how they operate and how they function. I am not a fan of the ones apparently that are using all this water. Not all of them do. For me, that's a no-go, especially here, especially knowing what's going to happen in Texas, our projection for drought in 2030 and moving forward. We're in a good position here in Killeen. Our four, we call them forefathers, I guess, but the people that came before us were very smart, and they set us up for water for quite some time. So we are in a good position here. Our neighbors, not so much. So we have to make sure that we don't deplete our resource, because water is gold, right? And so we don't want to deplete our resource. So if we've got alternatives to that, which they do have now, sealed units, then we need to start exploring those options versus somebody that's going to tap into our water system, because we can't let that happen. We don't want that. I don't want that. I can't.
I want to ask you, as far as because I believe for Justice for the Peace is a different date for the elections.
So Justice of the Peace, yes, sir. It's a county office. And so right now I'm in a runoff election for that. JP is completely different. Cannot legislate from the bench, but that one, our election, early voting for the runoff is May 18th through the 22nd.
Okay.
And then May 26th is election day. So we are right now in a municipal, which is this thing, think of it citywide. So we're in a citywide election right now. And the last day to vote for the city is May 2nd. Then we're going to have to turn around and do it again, May 18th through the 22nd or the 26th. And then whoever wins that runoff will be on the ballot for November. And that's the big one, the big midterms you keep hearing about. That's what that is in November.
Okay.
So we have three more times technically. So we have May 2nd, May 18th, May 26th, and then November, big November.
One. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can't let you leave here without talking about, your creative part. And because you mentioned you produce, you make movies and all that. I'm intrigued. I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
You you can start in any area you want and then develop.
Well, I started. My passion for film has always been there, but I started with theater originally. Was where I had been acting since I was a kid, and I had done a play, and in this particular play, I remember I used to stand. I always stand out in the audience, and I would look at the play, just kind of meditate before I go on. And I remember my friend Keisha. She came up to me. She's like, "What are you looking at?" And I was like, "I was just thinking." I was like, "I want to direct something." I was like, "I don't know if it's theater, film. I got this bug." And once you get the little itch, you get it. It just tickles at you. You can't stop. And so I was like, I have no clue about directing anything, but I feel like I want to do this. And she's like, "Well, let's do it." So at the end of our plays, our show run, we got a bunch of people together. We went to the Barnes and Noble. We sat, we had coffee, and we brought in a lady that had scripts, and some of us had full scripts, some of us had partial stories, synopsises, and we sat them all out on the table. And we started talking about filmmaking and all these things. And this little group of ladies, we picked a story that we all kind of thought would be interesting, and it was called Willow's Morning. And we, this one lady that was a writer, she decided that she was going to be on board to finish out the story because it was only a partial. Anyway, so I started there just having a conversation with those women, and we decided that it really was because if we don't create our own opportunities, nobody's going to create them for us, right? And so we were like, nobody's going to know us here in Killeen, Texas, unless we make a name for ourselves. And so we took that opportunity, created that film, and then from there, it's just been on and on, just working on different projects, co-working projects. We've got our own film family now between here and Austin, and some of them have moved back to this area, which is wonderful. But yeah, so filmmaking has been a huge part of my life. So I've got several projects that I work on, but I realized that I like the production piece. A lot of people don't really like that part, but I feel like I love building the teams, finding the stories. Definitely the casting piece is my crux because I believe in those when I find those characters and I can bring them to life. Like that's the most special moment. So I love the production piece, pre-production, post-production, that part of it. So
Which one you like more?
pre.
Free.
All the hard work.
Yeah, that's the heavy lifting
Finding
right
locations,
there.
building the teams, finding locations. Like that's what really gets me excited. I love that part. Finding the team, putting them together, selling the project.
Yeah,
Like if I find a story I believe in, like really, like that's my passion.
Yeah, that's we shouldn't been doing this portion. You know what? Ain't gonna happen. We ain't doing it.
So what are you involved in as far as film? Do you do film as well, or?
So we're because he's a filmmaker.
Oh, of course, yes.
For the audience, because I'm pointing and you can't see it.
It's a mystery man.
Yeah. Our friend here, Louis Emery, the director, he's here with us and behind the scenes. So I feel more comfortable writing. That's where I feel that, because I tried acting and he was trying to get me to direct, but I don't have I got to work on my patience, I don't have, he's really good with getting people to do what he needs them to do, right? And I'm the one to be like, listen, man, get out of here. We're gonna find someone else.
Do it again.
We're gonna find someone else, man. You're not. I thought you was it. You're not it.
Okay. Yeah, we've had a couple like that, huh? We don't. That's.
I do got to work on that. But like you mentioned, the production thing, I love putting things together and getting people together.
Yes.
So we have a writer, we have a director. You can do, how to deal with work the sound and all that,
Yeah.
and getting the people together. Just like you said, it's a wonderful process.
Yes.
And also tried acting, but I didn't love it because of the limits of it. They limit your creativity, right? Because when you're acting, they give you a role and you have to play that role, right? And you can't go out of the parameters of that role. So it's like, and me, I feel like I'm more of a creative person. So when you limit my creativity, I don't know. I just feel like you holding me back.
So for me, when I have been acting for a long time, and so I understand exactly what you're saying. So that was kind of partially why I wanted to direct. And so when I went behind the camera, for me, it was to make sure that my actors were free to create, right? So I would build the character initially and create this idea of what I wanted, and then I would let them develop it, and then I would let them become it. So for me, I understand exactly what you're talking about. So that's why I went behind the camera. because I didn't like the fact that we were so limited on the other side, because I also thought that on the independent film level, it hinders performance. Your project could be so much better if you let people just go naturally. You get a whole different product. It's a whole different process. So yeah, I get it. I understand completely what you're talking about.
And me, it's just a random number I'm going to throw out there because I don't have the facts right now. But like the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, that movie was like I don't know if it was 50% or something like that improvised. Like Scorsese just let them do their thing. They're like, just go ahead, just do what you got to do to see what comes out of it. And the movie's a masterpiece.
When you find the right, and that's where the casting piece comes in, and you find those right people, the right actors that have the right chemistry, it's really important. And when that naturally flows, everything else becomes magic. And then you let them have it. And then you just make sure that whoever's directing that thing or whoever the eyes are, the video cinematographer is on it, because they can capture gold in that point. But you got to let them, sometimes you just have to let them go.
Yeah.
But you can't do it if you don't have the right cast. And that's also important. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess you like more the producing side?
Yeah, I'm staying behind the camera, behind the whole editing, and I do it. Yeah.
So you like pre, he like post.
Yeah, I'm more of the post.
It's the most important. That's very important. Very important.
No,
part
for
too.
me, pre is more important.
See, they're equally important, because you can destroy our vision as director.
Yeah.
You have the power
Yeah.
to ruin our vision, right? Like you can ruin, or you can really bring it home and make it quite beautiful. But it takes also a technical, crafty eye to be able to see the beauty in the things that maybe we didn't see in the beginning, or that for me that editor and that cinematographer are crucial. Like as a director, we can learn, we can learn and we can tailor and we can become, but that cinematographer and that editor have to be symbiotic as far as I'm concerned. If they're not together in the vision of what the story is supposed to be, they can make or break it for sure. But you have to have an eye, like a creative eye. It's a very important role.
For me and my experience, I've been working a lot on music videos. And I know they're different, but they always like, oh, we fix that on post. We fix that on post. Oh, come on. We can do so much on post, okay?
Right.
So
it's not magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So much we can fix. So
Right. Okay. Well, it's good to know you. See, now that I know you do music videos, I've got a friend, San Antonio. We need to get a music video together. We'll talk about it offline.
Well, I think we talk about everything we wanted to talk about and more. Is there anything that you feel we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
Just that the JP. I just want to just close out with that I am running for that position because I want to be represented for the People's Court. I want to continue to serve my community. It's important that we have fair and balanced people in that position, because that court is the first face that some people their first interaction with the justice system. And so it's really important that you have clear and concise information, that you understand what the process is, and that you know that you're going to be treated fairly regardless of the outcome. It's very important to me. And so I just want people to know that. And that's why I'm running for that position. And don't forget that early voting for our county offices is going to be, and this runoff is May 18th through the 22nd. And then election day for the runoff is May 26th. So that's important. I just want to say that again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a social media presence where you want people to keep up with you and stuff like that?
They can follow me on Facebook.
Okay.
Jessica G for me. Jessica G for me. And that's really, Facebook is pretty much where I'm at. Then I have Instagram, TikTok, things like that. But Facebook is it.
Mainly. Okay.
Mainly,
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But thank you guys for doing what you do. This is cool.
No, thank you
glad
for
to be
coming
here.
here.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure.
Right on.
You have anything?
No.
No?
I think we're good.
Well, thank you guys for being here. If you stay till the very end of the episode, and if you know of someone that can find value in this or have a certain interest in these topics that we discuss here today, please share with them. And nothing. Catch y'all on the next one.